I'm horrified by what I've been led into and what others around me are. And that's why I'm trying to, raise the alarm.
Hey guys, welcome to Too Personal. I'm Joy Taylor, and I'm so excited to have Jameela Jamil on the podcast.
Hello.
Thank you so much for coming by, sis.
Thank you for having me.
I have admired you for a very long time. I think that you're so brilliant, and I love your clips about being so unapologetic, and you're very talented. So I'm just really honored that you've come on the show.
I think you're fantastic.
Thank you. We're so glad to have you here. I guess we should start with, I have all these notes from London, obviously, so you can hear by the beautiful accents. An actress in The Good Place, having never acted before, as we were just discussing. Currently hosts Wrong Turns, which launched April 2025. I actually got to see this in person. For the
disgusting comedy podcast. Yeah, I'm very sorry that was like your first impression of me.
Very good. It's very good, and it's very refreshing because it's an anti-inspiration comedy podcast where guests share their failures. And actually, I learned a lot about some of my favorite comedians that night. And also runs a Substack, A Low Desire to Please, which I recently just read your most recent Substack post.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very vulnerable, very honest about your current state of your mental health and having a nervous breakdown. I found it very relatable in a lot of ways.
I'm sorry.
I, like you, have had a very traumatic childhood. I've dealt with a lot of similar things that I've heard you discuss as far as trauma with men and physical abuse, sexual abuse, sexual harassment, all of the tick. And I was really horrified for you, but could also very much relate to what went on. And you should go read her Substack posts so that you have some more clarity on like just how extensive it was. But how are you feeling as you mentioned, like the only way out is through, and it's a lot.
Yeah. So I won't go too far into it because every time I do, I get re-traumatized. But I was attacked in the street a few months ago by a man, of course. And then he called other men for backup in what I think was a kidnapping attempt, and not based on who I was. It was just random because this is happening to women and kids all over the world all the time. And about a week later, I went in shock afterwards, and I managed to kind of get safely back to my home country. And then I was asked why I'd left my hotel alone at 6 p.m. And I snapped. I snapped for 40 years of being expected to be solely responsible for my safety, and the onus never being on men to not hurt women. And there was just something about it. I don't know if it's just turning 40 and the way you take stock of your life and the way you take stock of your trauma. I don't know if you neurologically everything catches up with you, but there was just something about being asked that after something so heinous and unprovoked, not that it's ever provoked, but I mean, it was so completely random and such poor luck, to be asked why I'd left my hotel room at 6 p.m. in the afternoon, which is essentially the end of like just the day.
Yeah,
it's not
some people haven't even been out of work
I'm
yet.
I'm 40. I'm 5'10.5". Like there's just nothing about what I did was irresponsible. Also, nothing we do should ever be considered irresponsible. Nothing provokes any kind of sexual or physical crime against anyone. And I didn't. It wasn't really my mental health that went into a spiral. It was my nervous system, and it was really fascinating to understand that like this kind of fugue state I went into where I just couldn't really speak. I kept on going mute for days at a time, and I didn't really know who I was or who anyone else was. I cognitively understood, intellectually I understood who the people around me were, but I didn't feel any relation to any of them, including my partner of 12 years. It's kind of like I describe it in the piece as feeling like I'd been dropped into someone else's life and I had a script for how to be able to maintain her relationships, but I didn't know who she was, and I didn't remember any good times in her life. And it's really dangerous when this happens, especially because there's no information about it. I didn't know what depersonalization was, which is what that is, or derealization was, which is what that is. I didn't know about something called dorsal vagal shutdown, which is the complete breakdown and collapse of your nervous system. No one's ever told me about that. No one ever. I've just been, everything to do with women's grief and PTSD has always been kind of turned into depression, for which you're given an SSRI. And that can be great and life-saving, but also that can further dissociate you sometimes. So I was always told that these moments that I'm feeling are my mental health. So therefore I thought there's a way you can psychologically get around it. That's not the case with a nervous system shutdown like dorsal vagal collapse. You can't think your way out of that. It is a long process to tell your body you're safe. You know, when you're in fight or flight, you're running away from the tiger. But when you're in dorsal vagal collapse, it's as though the tiger has caught you and is eating you, and you dissociate, which I think any of us who've experienced sexual trauma or any kind of physical violence in the moment, often you just freeze and leave your body. And that's what that is. And it was really intense to, for the first time, as it was happening in real time, understand I'm not having a mental health crisis. My nervous system has become so overwhelmed by men that it can't actually figure out how to function in this world, because it's kind of like being bitten by a shark and then being forced to live in the sea for the rest of your life. Being hurt by so many men in my life and then being forced to live amongst them, even if some of them are good, is absolute. It's terrorism for the psyche. And so I'm dealing with the onslaught of that. And I wanted to, because I'd never been told about any of this, I wanted to make sure as many people, especially women, knew that that's what that feeling is. And you're not crazy. Your body is actually doing something that is trying to protect you, but you experience a shutdown across all your systems. Like, so your digestive system stops, your metabolism stops, your memory stops, you can't sleep, it's just fucking chaos. And then doctors will at best give you a pill and not give you any instructions for all the somatic things you have to do to pull yourself out of it. And how fucked that we have to pull ourselves out of it after someone else has inflicted their instability onto us and their violence. So yeah, I'm fine. How are you?
How did you find out about all of this? Because when I was reading it, there was so much that you said, obviously, that I related to, and the nervous system thing is something that I'm dealing with a lot as well. And I recently had all my blood work done, and the medical professional that I was working with was like, you have the stress level of an NSA agent who is trying to fight hackers to keep the grid up and can't talk to their partner about what they do at work because it's state secrets. It was so specific.
That's so specific.
And I was like, why do you know that? Why do you know what that kind of stress level is? And he was like, well, I work with some of them. So I've seen their results. What are you doing that is so stressful? And I was like, I don't really have a stressful life right now, but my body is still responding to trauma. It's functioning as if it is unsafe. And no matter how many times my brain says you're safe, my body is not listening. So it's holding water weight. My cortisol levels are high.
Yeah.
My stress levels are high. It's not functioning the way that it's supposed to be functioning, even though I'm taking care of it, because my body is traumatized. And it's not, they're not communicating with each other. So that part I very much related to. But how did you find out about it? Did you do research, or did you talk to a professional?
It was the first time. So all the other times it's happened 3 separate times in my life in 40 years of being on this planet. It's happened. First time I was 15, then 26, then I think I was 34. And each of those times my life wasn't great. So it was hard to tell how much darkness I'd slipped into, because my life was just generally quite dark. Whereas this time I'd had quite a reparatory, wonderful life that I could remember I'd left behind to become this weird monotone speaking dead bore who I have become in the last couple of months. I'm so sorry that this is the version of me you get on your podcast, but I knew, I was like, oh, something has gone very, very wrong here. And so I love my partner, and I could see how scared he was, and I was very, very I felt very suicidal, and I feel a deep responsibility to him that I'm unable to access for myself. I'm not very good at looking after myself, but I can look after anyone else. So I thought, okay, for his sake, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. So I started researching my symptoms, and it was telling me that there might be something wrong with my nervous system. So I just looked up what kind of practitioners you go to for your nervous system. And they were like, you know, cranial osteopathy, acupuncture, somatic, like body workers. They were like, this is not a problem in your mind. This is a problem in your body, in your nervous system. So I was like, right. So I went to a bunch of those different types of practitioners, and all three of them, you know, confirmed that I was in dorsal vagal collapse. And the reason they could tell is because they were testing my pulse to my digestive system and my general pulse and my blood pressure, which was near dead. So it's not the sort of thing that you can just tell a doctor you have. They can just assess it from... And then my blood results came back with like comically high cortisol, probably quite similar to you, as if I was in active attack. And so through all of those measures, they ascertained that I'm in dorsal vagal collapse, and my body was gaining weight rapidly. And I'm someone who normally eats a lot and stays very slim, come from a very thin family. Like, it's not normal for my body to expand at this speed. It's clearly like a metabolism shutdown.
Yeah.
And so I was just retaining water so puffy. My body just feels so waterlogged all the time. And so they all kind of guided me through it, but still didn't give me loads of information on how to actively look after myself. Like, I didn't know you're not supposed to exercise. I had to figure that one out the hard way. Didn't know that breath work can be really bad for you.
Really?
Yeah, it can make things, especially the type that's like that Wim Hof, like
Yeah.
that can exacerbate you and tell your body, oh my God, she's out of breath, she's running out of breath, she must be in danger again, she must be running from an attacker again. Right. So that made me much worse. I didn't know that, like, because I didn't have any appetite, I wasn't eating very much. I was not eating very much and gaining the most weight I'd ever gained. And I was like, oh, that's so interesting. Because I wasn't eating much, my body was like, oh, she's in famine. Let's send more cortisol. Let's hang on to more water. And so all these things I've just been kind of trial and erroring my way around, just trying to do things for my mental health, like even going for a long walk in the sun, terrible. The sunshine, not great when you're in this state.
What is good for you?
Lying down in the dark in a cool room and being around safe people and eating foods that bring you comfort. So I have gone back to a coffee and 2 chocolate muffins in the morning, and I'm feeling much better for it. And really just being very, very gentle, like 15 minutes of a slow walk a day, just really telling your body again and again and again, especially through kind of self-talk, which I've never done because I'm British and we really look down on that sort of thing because we're cunts. And so learning to go, I am safe, like you are safe, I'm going to look after you, I don't have any expectations of you. You just do whatever you need to do, like making sure that your body understands that there is no risk posed to you. And so that's kind of what I've been doing. If I'm babbling, I'm so sorry. This is the first time I've actually spoken about it out loud.
No, I'm very grateful that you are speaking about it and that you have.
But so many women are going through this and they have no idea
to speak about it. Yeah, I mean, I don't feel that I'm going through. I know that I have gone through it before when you described it.
Yeah.
And I've dealt with suicidal thoughts my whole life and trauma responses, but you know, the specific way that you're describing it is different than having just like a bad night or feeling sad.
Yeah, no, it's the systemic nervous system
and
feeling
your
of
body
being a woman
reacting
in the
to
world.
Your physical body reacting to those things.
Yeah, I mean, I was, you know, sort of 5 years old the first time I realised that a grown man could find me sexually attractive. So I've just been walking through the world constantly terrified for 35 years straight, and taking measures to get home safe and taking the Uber instead of walking home, and, you know, still sometimes in a cab being chatted up by the driver and, you know, or being sexually intimidated by a driver, all these different things that have happened, you know, in like a yellow mini cab in New York where you're like locked in the back. There are so many times that I'm made to feel unsafe constantly, or if I'm not made to feel unsafe, it's because I'm doing constant death maths of like, do I go down that alleyway that will get me to work quicker, but there's no women in that alleyway, or do I go down this road, and like scanning, and you don't realize how much you're scanning all the time for danger, and it's just perpetual death maths. And what that does to your nervous system is not normal, and so many men can't really relate. Like, really, it's only men in prison who can understand the nervous system of being a woman anywhere, because of the imminent threat of rape and the imminent threat of assault everywhere you go. it's the only way that I've been able to explain to a man. It was like, what's your biggest fear of going to jail? And it's always sexual assault.
Right.
And I'm always like, that's how women feel and girls feel and children feel all the fucking time. And it's so imperative that people start to understand this, because women are really given no grace for how fucking stressed out we are and how on edge we are. And then the entire quote unquote wellness community is built upon making us spend more money, extraordinary amounts of money, to look like we're not as fucking stressed as we are. And it's like, maybe we should show people how stressed we are. That's a bit why I'm not like coming on with like sunshine and bows everywhere all the time now, because I'm like, I think people should know that I've been pushed to the fucking edge.
Yeah,
I'm at the fucking edge. I'm actually just hanging on with just one hand, and I can't take this shit anymore. And I shouldn't have to. And I'm so scared for all the younger girls. It terrifies me. It's why I don't want children. It's because I can't. I'm too terrified to have children in a world like this, where one goes missing every 2.5 hours because of men, because of a culture of men. And it's not just men who are having an active desire to hurt you, or who are, you know, out of control, want to assault you. There is an entire business built on taking the lives and freedom and futures of women and children for other men who can't even be bothered to go out and catch their own. It's unbelievably dark, and I can't believe it. And I think that's what I'm going through. I think I'm going through so much repressed rage that the only way to not like physically explode is to shut myself off. And so I think that's kind of what my body's doing. I'm still figuring it out, and I'm in therapy, like EMDR therapy, which is for PTSD, trying to work out what I can do with all of this rage, because I'm so angry, and women just aren't angry enough.
Well, I will tell you,
because we don't feel like we're allowed to be. I'm not blaming women.
We're not allowed to be. I think that you have done an incredible job of channeling the rage that you had before this happened, because every time I hear or see you talking about this subject or anything adjacent to it, I think you're very articulate, and you've said things. I am inarticulate when it comes to this. I'm actually always
You're
mad.
never inarticulate.
I'm enraged all the time. And I have been told by people close to me, by my therapist, by doctors, like, you have to calm down, actually, because you are stressing yourself out. And I feel like I am stressed out. Like, I am angry about this. I am angry at men. I'm angry at the good men. I'm angry at all of it. I'm angry at the system. I'm angry at women who uphold it. I'm angry at things that I've done to uphold it. I want to break the system down, and I can't stop talking about it. And it's pouring out of me, this rage about it, because I'm like, why is everyone not more angry? And particularly when it comes to children.
Why aren't we talking about it all the fucking time,
why isn't it
constantly?
Why isn't it
how did
the
we
only
move,
thing everyone
how did
cares
we move
about?
on from the Epstein files? Like, how the fuck
Well,
did
because
that
we're
happen?
past prison rules.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that has blown my mind. Like, even in prison, pedophiles are the lowest. Like, there's a code amongst prisoners.
Yeah. They have to be kept in solitary.
That this is the lowest. And here we are, all free, roaming the earth. And like, so they're all pedophiles, and we're just okay with this. So there's a better system in prison for handling misbehavior than there is out in the world. And it's because the system is designed to protect these people. There is a huge business behind it, to your point, about men who may have families and daughters of their own, who have no interest in raping or assaulting anyone or molesting anyone, but are perfectly fine with participating in kidnappings, participating in selling humans and trafficking them. And to them, they're not actually humans. And that was the part of your Substack that also stuck out to me, is that women are not looked at as humans. We don't have hopes and dreams
and stories
and families
and lives,
stories and lives. We're just this piece of meat. We're just a ware walking around the earth with something that they either want physically now in this moment, or something that they can sell.
Yeah, and it's exhausting and offensive, and I think that we should stop being told to calm down. Weirdly, I did a podcast last year where they were like, "What's your biological age?" And I was like, "Mine's going to be mine's going to say that I'm legally dead. Like, it's going to say that I'm 150 because I've had such a stressful life and I've not been very well and I've not ever known how to look after myself. Like, I've never really ascended beyond a 12-year-old boy in my like eating habits and like lifestyle habits. And I don't sleep. And, you know, I was like, oh, it'll say that I'm 150. I'm a 150-year-old Chinese man. Like, I don't know like what to expect. And they said it was under the age of 20. And I was shocked. And then the doctor came in to explain it to me. And she was like, in spite of all of your appalling habits, she said that because you don't keep any of your emotions in, you just let them out like all over the internet. You are biologically stronger than a lot of other people. And it was a really amazing moment to prove that actually letting your emotions and your rage out and your fury out is much better for you. The people who don't, who are told by their doctors that it's stressing them out, are normally the ones who are going to get a terrible autoimmune disease. And so I'm just I have no intention of holding in my rage. I'm just trying to work out a way that I can get it out without using a fucking sword, because I want to buy a sword right now. I want to buy like all kinds of, like, I want to become Wolverine, where someone will plant a knife inside of my hands, like, yeah, and that I can summon 10 knives. Like, that's how I feel right now. And I'm like, I don't want to be violent. I mean, I do, just to be very clear, I would love to be.
I'm very pro-violence.
Extremely violent.
Say anything with me.
I really like, I equivocate rape with taking someone's life, as far as I'm concerned, because you do, like, I never really got my life back. I've just been surviving ever since. And that's not going to sound very empowering to other people. And I think I am a pretty empowered woman. I think I'm a very free woman, but there's a part of me that got taken so young that I'll never ever get back, and I'll never know what life would have looked like without that horrific, terrifying, terrorizing lens. To not have slept since I was like, for more than a few hours a night since I was 5 is really crazy. And that was taken from me just like that, because of someone else's urge. So I would like to find a way to get out the rage, and I would like to encourage the rage in other women. We just have to find a productive way to engage in some sort of collective, like, organized rage. Otherwise it's for nothing.
I feel where I totally agree. And I think there are a lot of things that we need to come together on.
Mm-hmm.
I feel a little discouraged that this is something we would need to come together on, because every woman I know has experienced some level of this, and we still are not unified in how to prevent it. And because of that, I do feel like
Why do you think that
similar
is?
to race. Well, I think there's a system, right? There's a patriarchy, and there are women who benefit from proximity to that.
Mm-hmm.
And so tearing apart an entire system that is upheld by this, house of cards would mean them losing things and access and privileges. And when you're, there is like there's real male-centered women, and they're the most dangerous to me in holding all this up. Because if you go to some of those women and say, hey, I've been molested, or I've been raped, or I'm dealing with this, and they are propping up these men. And that's a big hurdle, I think, to actually coming together as women and saying enough. But the other part of it to me is that, similar to race,
Yeah.
men built this system, so men have to tear it down. Like, white people built the system. So why is it Black people's job to tear apart a system of oppression that we didn't create? Men built this system, and men don't benefit, but not all men benefit from this system. And when you look at patriarchy, it does not benefit men.
Totally, but we can't get into whether or not it's fair or not, because the world just isn't fair.
No, nothing is fair.
No.
But I have come to the conclusion that even the good men are not doing enough.
Yeah, they're not doing enough. They're not doing fuck all. What are they doing? Where are they?
Other than saying that they're
I don't want to
sorry
hear
that
that you're
you're
an
going
ally
through it
on Instagram. Like, Get involved.
You have to be, in my opinion,
start a fucking night watch.
Yeah, you have to be
start
actively.
a night watch. Like, help women get home safely at night.
Yeah.
All those predators will join the fucking night watch and then use that as an excuse. But there's no interruption of this culture. They endorse it via the people that they follow and via the friends that they, they don't call in and call out. Like, men are afraid of other men just as much as we are. And they don't want to have that conversation. Our apex predator is also their apex predator. They are killed and raped in higher numbers than we are by each other. So they're terrified. And because we're not allowed to have this collective conversation of like, we are all terrified of men. That's the main problem. And so a lot of my work is not at men. It's kind of with men being like, aren't you sick of this shit too? Aren't you afraid of being afraid? I did a post, last year just saying that more men are murdered and raped by men than women every year statistically. And I was like, men, this is a safe space because you seem to never be capable of creating your own safe spaces to have these conversations. Allow me to create a safe space for you to tell me what men did to you. And the stories were fucking harrowing.
Mm-hmm.
Harrowing from when they were boys, what was done to them by men, by priests, by teachers, by dads. Men are struggling and terrified of men too, but they don't feel as though they are safe to be able to say that. And because they can't organise a piss up in a brewery to just get together and have these conversations and own this shit. They just perpetuate cycles of abuse on each other and then on us. And so this has to be a combined effort between men and women. And I think that's a really difficult thing to do. And we need men to get angry with us. And they don't need to be defensive. They need to realise that our threat is your threat. And actually the reason you're afraid to defend us is because you're scared you might get killed. There are so many videos now of women being attacked in the street and their boyfriend just freezes or backs off. And it's because he's afraid he's going to get killed. So we need to be able to find a way to have this conversation together as a coalition against this system. I've been saying for a long time that I don't believe that, and this gets mixed reviews and results. So you might, I might not be very popular with you after saying this, but I believe that the ultimate goal of patriarchy isn't women, it's men. It's men with less power and less money who they can send to war to die, and to die for rich men up at the top, right? So I mean the men who go to war, or the men who go down the mines, or who do incredibly dangerous labor that women aren't expected to do, all for more powerful men up top. And because men are so submissive to other men, they're more likely to go and take those orders and risk their lives and be used as a dog's body for wealthy, older, more powerful men. And what am I trying to say? Sorry, it's my first time speaking in like 3 days. So I need to get So what I'm trying to say, is that men don't understand that they are the ultimate target of patriarchy. And they've been distracted with oppressing us so that they think they are the top of the food chain, but they don't realize that we're all at the fucking bottom. They're just slightly above us. But as soon as there's a draft, it's not going to be women who get sent. It's going to be them. It's going to be their teenage boy bodies on the fucking line, on the ground. And they're not going to be looked after when they come back, if they even survive with PTSD and disabilities. There'll be nowhere for them to go. They'll be sent to the streets, or to some sort of whatever concentration camps are being built for homeless people who are mostly veterans, and people with men with PTSD. So because they don't understand this, because they don't want to feel like they are a victim and that they are a target of patriarchy, it's just not fucking sinking in that we are in this fight together against the wealthy and the powerful elites at the top. And this has been the system from the start. Women are being used as a distraction for men to be like, oh, look, you have it better than her. So you don't realize that actually your life doesn't mean fuck all either. And the second you are needed to put your body on the line, you will be called for and you will be abused. And it's just imperative that we get this across to men, that we are in an alliance with each other. We are in a coalition. Women are fighting. Bell Hooks has been fighting for the liberation of men for fucking time now. Feminism also fights for the liberation of men. We're fighting for all of us to be free from patriarchy. This is not about being, for me, it's not about being equal with men. It's about being free from patriarchy with men. That's what I think. Does that make any sense?
It makes perfect sense. I have no notes.
Okay. Sometimes people get upset because women are like, no, patriarchy was just designed to oppress women. And
No,
I'm like,
I
understand why it
disagree with
feels that way.
And women
but
are more oppressed than men within the
Yes.
patriarchy. But that doesn't mean, that's why I said earlier, they don't realize that patriarchy harms them as well.
Yeah.
And because they have some slight proximity this much to the power,
Yeah.
it delusions them into thinking that this is a system that benefits me, so I'm going to continue to uphold it. But to your point, and you're seeing it more now, it is they're doing a really terrible job of not making it so obvious that everyone is disposable.
Mm-hmm.
But talking about bringing the draft back, the conversations that we're having in this country, at least about, you know, the military going completely not diverse, which, like, I've jokingly said from the beginning, make the military all white men. Go get them. Stop coming to the hood and recruiting people. Please make this an all white military and take their children off to some pointless war and see how that goes for you. Like, this is what they're trying to do. They're not trying to hide any of this anymore. We have just reached a point, I think, in our human existence where we have access to more information than we've ever had. And because of that, it's completely overwhelmed our nervous systems, our brains, and we can only pick and choose to like think about one thing at a time for a very short amount of time. So people can only understand consequences anymore. We're in a post-truth society, so facts are irrelevant.
Yeah.
And so the only thing that people truly understand is consequences. When you can't be bothered with facts, the only thing that actually affects you is something that you feel, something that actually physically happens to you, and you know that what the cause of it was. And so, yeah, I don't disagree with you at all. I think that the whole gender war is designed,
I think it's a construct. I have a conspiracy theory I'm
to
building.
keep us distracted from it. What is it? I love it now.
My conspiracy theory that I'm building is that I believe that the entire male loneliness epidemic was engineered from up top by the tech platforms with the aim of making men absolutely intolerable
Okay.
to women, making them worse in bed with porn. Like, they've never been worse in bed. They're so bad in bed. I'm hearing extraordinary complaints from my female friends at a big age, where men should know better.
Should know their way around the pussy by now.
It's insane. They need sort of Apple Maps to the clitoris now. It's out of control.
Well, I mean, there is a push.
But like porn,
there's like this whole
but also
idea
like
that
choking,
like women can't.
but choking,
Yeah,
and
like,
physical
you can't
violence,
choke every
and
time.
turning a woman's sexual pleasure into like making that
Yeah, like
irrelevant, and making it all
sadism,
about
yeah.
it just all feels like very assault adjacent. And you look at the the websites and stuff, and it's a lot of really dark, dangerous, unloving, unromantic, unsexy stuff. There's not a lot of eroticism
I mean, even music
anymore.
is that, like,
100%. There's no Nat King Cole
where's
singing.
the longing?
Where's the Nat King Cole singing? And when we kiss, that isn't thunder that you're hearing. It's my heart, and it's applause. Like, where are those men?
No,
Give
there's
us
no
back,
yearning.
Give us back those men.
Yeah.
Like, I want them. Like, they were good in bed. We weren't getting the same complaints. I don't know what the
Well,
fuck
there
is
was an
going on here.
idea that you needed to please women, or in order to be
Yeah.
an alpha man.
100%. You were considered a good guy.
Okay,
Being a
so I'm
gentleman
following
was
this
being
conspiracy
considered. Okay,
theory.
sorry. So worse in bed, worse on dates, worse in their general behavior, like really becoming deeply unattractive and pathetic, lacking gallantry, lacking chivalry. And then women then become turned off by men. Women start to push men away. Therefore, men no longer have a woman and a family and a life to live for. Therefore, it's easier to convince them to go and die for their country. It is not just America that is building a draft. It is also Germany, who said that they want to, grow their army by 200,000 people in the next couple of years. Otherwise, they're going to bring in conscription. France is talking about this. England is talking about this. It is happening worldwide, the discussion about conscripting specifically men into armies with or without their consent. Right? Look at what happened in Ukraine. They extended the age to something like 60. You're not allowed to leave the country if you're under 60 when it's at war. Like, you are middle-aged and your body is not considered precious. It's like you are going to be there as a human shield for your government. And so that's what I think is happening. I think this has been a long running, engineered, like the way it's happening, also orchestrated all around the world. Everyone growing their armies in the last couple of years, before Iran, before any of this, all this other shit's been breaking out. What are they preparing for? And we're told, oh, maybe it's the war that's happening in the Middle East, or maybe it's the war that's going to happen with Russia. Something is happening. There is something brewing at a very organized elite level. And you've got men becoming lonelier and lonelier, and then becoming more and more hostile, and then women are becoming hostile back. And you've got the Korean 4B movement, where women are now refusing to date men or have babies anymore, and they're moving in together into homes, which sound fucking amazing.
It's not unappealing.
No. And so I do believe that this is like, it's happening in too much of like a perfectly, or it's almost happening like the big fucking bang, where you're like, how is all of this happening at the same time?
Birth rates are dropping.
Need to understand they are taking away your reason to live so that you'll be willing to die. Because what does a lonely man want? He wants some camaraderie. He wants some purpose. He wants something to live for. It's like the army adverts make it look like fucking Disneyland. It's like brotherhood and purpose and meaning and worthiness and like discipline and community.
Yeah.
And so the more that gets taken away from them, the more appealing that's going to be, and the less they're going to feel oppressed by it. And also women, you know, are at the forefront normally of ending wars, because we're the ones calling back for our husbands and our sons and our brothers. You know, we're the ones fighting and resisting. Like, we lead most resistant movements. We are the real protectors of society. We are the ones who really riot. We're the ones who really protest. So if women are fucking sick of men, we're not going to lift a finger to stop the draft. I know women who are literally like, oh my God, take them. Like, let them go. But what's going to happen is that those boys and those men are going to go and terrorize the women in other countries.
Yeah.
So we have to do something about this. We have to stop this from happening. It's insane that this many boys and men are going to go off and just fucking die for a bunch of old rich men up top. We don't want this for them. And so I'm urging men to understand that save your own life and get away, pull back from this fucking red pill manosphere culture, because you're going to die. You're going to be sent off to die. This shit is getting very real. This is official. This is no longer even conspiracy. These drafts and these conscriptions are building at a government level to the point where it's been released into the media. So if men don't get on side and pull back from patriarchy and don't align with women and start to learn what we like and what we need in order for them to be able to have the great privilege of partnering up with us, which they won't like, and no, we're not all perfect, but for fuck's sake, calm down for a second, bigger picture, they're going to be stripped of their safety and their lives.
Yeah. You're spitting, I have to tell you. You said you haven't talked in 3 days?
No.
You came in hot.
Sorry.
No, not sorry. It's amazing. This is everything I dreamed of. When I was like, we're having Jameela on, I just can't wait to talk about the
She
patriarchy.
dropped some massive conspiracy theory about the global elites.
I love it. You're absolutely right.
I want to team up with men. Like, I'm looking for men to join my fucking army against the patriarchy. That's why I'm dressed like this.
I was about to say, you already have your, like, you know, your revolutionary leader hot suit on. I feel
a bit gay Guevara, isn't it?
Yeah. Very chic.
I love it.
I do feel in a lot of ways that men are brought up to be this way. And you
Yes,
said
of
something,
course.
I'm not going to say it as articulate as you did again, so I'm going to misquote you a little bit, so please correct me. But basically that little boys are, they're the idea that little boys are not gentle and sweet and empathetic and kind and want love and attention in the same way that little girls do is a lie that starts at such a young age that it breaks them. It breaks boys and girls off for boys to be conditioned into these people that we are describing. And that is another thing that a lot of these men hate about women, is that we do have the ability to cry. We do have the ability to emote. We have the ability to be affectionate with our friends and not be judged. We have the ability to build communities and live together, and nobody, you know, realistically calls us lesbians, you know, like it's not that is at all offensive, but like women living together, that does not mean that. Whereas a bunch of men are immediately going to get ridiculed by other men for having that kind of community. And I feel that is a big part of what breaks men at such a young age, is that idea that they are not allowed to have access to their emotions. And I do think that some young men are publicly talking about that and pushing back on that, but it's not enough.
No, yeah, there are some wonderful young men who are doing great work in this space, because I think Gen Z are being able to watch how much we've fucked everything up and are going, okay, we can see the matrix. But we brutalize boys from as soon as they can understand. We brutalize and terrorize them en masse, specifically, especially in the West, I would say,
Yeah.
where, you know, we don't allow them to cry. Tears have cortisol, the stress hormone, in them. So if you don't let a boy let that out, then he's going to have all that cortisol coursing through his system. It's going to make him destructive, and then he's going to get punished for being destructive. He is going to be punished for every normal emotion he has, because boys are not raised to be men. They're raised just not to be girls. And so that is the main practice of patriarchy, is just to tell you what not to be, never given a true role model. And, you know, back in the day, there were more role models in society, but we don't really have that. We've just got society being like, don't be a woman, don't seem gay, don't seem feminine in any way.
Right.
We also force them into a schooling system which isn't helpful for their brains. Like, girls' brains develop much faster than boys. We are more academically and intellectually superior from a younger age than boys, which is why we outperform them in most academia all the way through. But specifically, girls can, I think, read and write much younger, more naturally, and boys actually are not their brains haven't developed yet to be able to do that. And so instead of taking them outside into, you know, I don't know, the woods to learn how to harness their energy and build things and create things and do things that are to the strengths of their brains, they're forced into a system that actually is catered towards our academic capabilities. So then they develop low self-esteem because of that at a younger age. Obviously, some people will buck the system, and some boys will be, you know, neurodivergent or academically brilliant. I'm not saying it's not possible, but en masse, boys develop much slower than girls. They have a lower pain tolerance. They have so many weaknesses that we don't have. And they are not brought up in a world that caters to that. And because I think there is something much more inherently submissive about males, and I think this exists across all species, that they are more likely to be submissive and more likely to want an instruction and follow an instruction. They just don't want to get it from their wife. They want it from another man. But they want to be told what to do. Where am I going with this? Sorry.
Little boys.
Yes. So we and then we feed them, we indoctrinate them, we drench them in misogynist culture and music and lyrics and videos and pornography. And because there is something inherently submissive in them, they're going to do what they think all the other boys are doing. So they're going to immerse themselves in that. They are groomed and preyed upon by patriarchy from as soon as they can understand, just like we are, in just very different ways. And it dehumanizes them. And then it teaches them to dehumanize us. Once patriarchy has successfully dehumanized a boy, then it's easy for a boy to go and dehumanize everyone else, either because of their sexuality or their gender or their race or whatever. But they are targeted and severed from their real selves and their real emotion, and they're not allowed to foster a real, true identity, in case it might seem in any way feminine, because they're terrorized out of femininity, whereas femininity is incredibly strong and rebellious. And I've often said that the most powerful men I've ever met, who buck the system, who are brave, who stand up for women, who stand up for each other, who are pillars of their community, are always the ones most in touch with their feminine side. They're the men who aren't afraid to cry, the men who aren't afraid to hug each other, to show emotion. Those are always the true leaders to me. That is true masculinity to me. Not masculinity even, that's
just
that is a fully realized person, because
Yeah.
I'm quite masculine, and a lot of my male friends are very heterosexual, but they're very in touch with their feminine side, and they are rebels. Like, they're true rebels. There's nothing more obedient than being macho, just following all the rules of, I'm supposed to look like this, and I'm supposed to talk like this, and I'm supposed to act like this, and I'm supposed to treat a woman like this. It's like, these are all the rules, tick, 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 and I'm supposed to date a woman who looks like this, and then the other boys will be proud of me, and then daddy will be proud of me. Whereas feminine men don't give a fuck. They're doing what they want. They're reading what they want. They're enjoying art. They're making art. They're making things that are incredible. You and I both share a man in common who'll be listening to this episode right now, because he loves listening to women and what they think.
Right.
And he's incredibly in touch with his feminine side, but he's a fucking man.
Yes.
In every sense of the word. And so I look up to and look for that in men. And I think that it's so hilariously ironic and boring to have categorized femininity as any kind of weakness when everything about it is so unbelievably strong and resilient.
Well, because it's dangerous. It's dangerous to be an individual in a system.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they always try to oppress it, and they try to roll any kind of progress back and demonize progress. And they use it in a way that stirs people's emotions. Someone is stealing our country.
Yeah.
Women are tearing apart the family.
Mm.
They're these big loaded words that scare people because it feels like it's out of the norm, and it is out of the norm, but not because it's dangerous to society, not because it's dangerous to the future.
No, but do you know what is dangerous to society? Femininity. Because
Well,
they
in
know
a
up
negative
top,
way. In a positive way for us, but for them it's negative.
of course, but those up top know that actually masculinity is far more submissive and femininity is far more rebellious, right? So they know that femininity is going to lead to boys and girls bucking the system and going, actually, no, this doesn't actually make any fucking sense. And equality and egalitarianism makes sense. A matriarchy doesn't mean women just in charge. A matriarchy means egalitarianism with women being able to, I think, help nurture the community and be in certain leadership positions, but also putting men who are qualified in those leadership positions, just not fucking morons who just have a penis and that's their entire qualification. And that, I think, is a healthier society for everyone because it's egalitarian. It's so funny to me how much feminism has been branded as this weakness because they know that we are, again, like if you look at the ICE protests, it's women at the front of those ICE protests. It's unarmed, small women confronting massive armed men with guns. It's unbelievable. Femininity is fucking terrifying, which is why they've severed men as far away from it as possible just in time for all these drafts around the world. Because they don't want men to fight back. They don't want men to rebel. They want men to have no woman to turn to who will go, hey, you don't have to do this. Women are so dangerous. Grown women are considered so dangerous. So again, they've only encouraged men to stick around women whose frontal lobes aren't fully formed, 25-year-olds, 26-year-olds, or younger even, because that woman won't know how to liberate that man. Yeah. Older women not only liberate women, we liberate men. That's why we have to be removed from society and distracted with Botox and weight loss drugs and performing, youthful femininity for the rest of our fucking lives. We're not supposed to lean into our adulthood because we might dare to say to men, what the fuck are you doing? You don't seem very happy. If men seemed happy right now, after all these thousands of years of patriarchy, I could maybe go, that seems like it's going well for someone. But they're fucking miserable. They're killing themselves.
Yeah, they're more miserable than they've ever been.
And statistically,
yes,
so
statistically
lonely,
they are
so
more
upset.
miserable.
Like they're so violent. They're so self-destructive. The addiction rates, the homelessness rates, it's all men. So it's not working for you. Come with us. Come with us. We'll show you a better way. Their main fear is the same fear that white people have about black people, right? Is that if we allow black people into positions of power, they might exact revenge. Men are terrified of what would happen if women were in power in case we were to treat them the way that they treated us. But for 90% of human history, or Homo sapien history, we have, it was a matriarchy, or at least it wasn't a patriarchy. Patriarchy is so modern. It's less than 10% of human history. This is modern. It was an experiment. You tried, and you gave it your best fucking shot. And it has led to global collapse of the environment, of the earth, of humanity, of people locked in cages, adults, humans locking other humans in cages, a punitive, horrifying, sad system full of suicide, people taking their own lives, people fighting to be able to afford resources that just grow from the earth. We have to pay for clean water. We have to pay for land. Who got to own all of those things? Why are these things owned? What the fuck is this system? It's bullshit. It's a bullshit system. Like, men are living in a bullshit world where they are killing themselves to escape it. So let's try something else together.
I would follow you to war.
Thank you. I've been looking up some swords.
So we have to find you a good sword. I'll be like your lieutenant. I haven't gotten it down to the science yet that you have. It is so true. And it's very heartbreaking for me, honestly, listening to you, because you are so right. But I have just lost so much hope. Like,
But that's what they want. They want you to lose so much hope. And they want you to hate men so much that you're like, fuck these men. I don't care what happens to them.
And
I understand.
I hate the system. I hate having conversations with them about it at large. I hate the comparing of the experiences. And honestly, the main reason why is because while we are both suffering, what we started talking about is the thing that if they don't understand it, if they haven't experienced it in the way that so many men have experienced sexual assault or being molested or being raped,
something like 1 in
or being
7
abused,
or something. Yeah.
If they haven't experienced it or haven't talked to another man about their experience, then they don't. While they may fear their lives being in danger, that is a common experience that they can relate to, but they cannot relate to the fear of being sex trafficked or being assaulted or being raped or being sexualized in the workplace to the point where you cannot function.
And also their numbers of being like experiencing more violence than women come from them taking zero precautions not to experience violence. Can you imagine if women didn't take all the precautions that we take, how much more violence we would see? If already half of us have been assaulted, and that's when we take the cab home, we
have the keys in our hand.
Yeah, we have the keys in our hand.
We're not looking at our phone.
No, we're not listening to our headphones. We're triple locking the doors. We're not going for the run at night or the walk at night when we feel stressed out. Like the amount of precautions women take around their safety en masse. And then still half of us are being assaulted. Billions of women and girls have been assaulted. What the fuck would those numbers be? So men are out there just fucking raw dogging life.
Yeah, it's cool.
And then they're experiencing that kind of
yeah,
violence.
And I've had conversations with them about it. I'm like, you've never even thought about the things that I, at this point, naturally think about every day.
And then they're like, bitches are crazy. And it's like, no, bitches have been driven crazy.
We
like,
are crazy.
My nervous system.
I'm a very crazy person. I'm very, very, very crazy. In the term,
are you crazy?
I'm very crazy.
In what way? What defines crazy? Well, just being enraged?
I am not. I was meant to be a different person than I am. Like the trauma, the things that I've been through and experienced.
But when you say crazy, I'm imagining Nicolas Cage, like as in his performances, not the man. Please don't sue me.
Which performance?
All of them, literally every Nicolas Cage movie. Yeah,
that's right.
I just really like. I just think a woman really needs to earn it with me to call herself crazy. So, what do you mean by crazy?
Oh, like I don't know. I don't want to implicate myself. I have very, very dark thoughts a lot. I am very angry a lot.
Is that crazy or is that a normal reaction to this society?
No. I think it's an appropriate reaction.
I think the weirdos are the ones who are just fine. Like they are.
You're not wrong. But
how can you be okay right now?
I am very crazy.
Yeah, right.
And I'm okay with that though. I'm perfectly okay with people thinking that I'm crazy, with people thinking that I'm angry. I get angry a lot. I am angry. I
want to fight you now. No.
I am angry.
No, I know you're angry. You're not allowed to call yourself crazy.
What should I call myself?
Like rightfully indignant.
Okay.
Furious.
That sounds
Call
much
yourself
better.
Furious. Stop calling yourself crazy. Women have got to stop calling themselves crazy for having a very valid reaction to this world. I completely object to you using that word. Like you really have to be like certifiable to be able to call yourself crazy. No, I'm sorry. I'm talking about shitting like in the street, which I once did. And that's because I was crazy that year. Okay.
I haven't done that yet.
I once did that. All right. It was 2015 was really, no, not 2015. So 2012 was a rough time for some of us, okay? But my point being that you really have to be legitimately nuts. Women call themselves, and women are called crazy. And when we call ourselves crazy, we are giving license to men to call us crazy for our valid reactions to a society that they have built and then broken. So you are not allowed to use that word anymore. I don't want to hear it. It's really important.
I am righteously indignant.
Yes, you are righteously indignant, and you're pissed. We're pissed. You're not crazy. It's crazy to be okay with this. Like when I look at these women who are just so like just gobbling up, just fucking patriarchy. I just that's the clip, isn't it? Great. But when I see those women, I'm looking at someone who's disassociated. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, you're dissociated. You are dissociated and you are delulu, and that's a coping mechanism. And actually, I've been there before where I'm like, oh God, it would just be easier just to give in to it all, just stop fighting it. But that always ends up in some sort of either asylum or medical, intervention.
Yeah.
Or drug intervention. I look at these women and they're like just 1,000-yard stare, and they're like these quietened voices that they use, and it's like this performance of femininity. Like no cultural ancient tribe had this performance of femininity. Like women were fucking warriors.
But we've been so severed from those ideas. Like that, I think.
But you promise not to call yourself crazy
I won't call
anymore.
myself. I can't
Once
promise.
you shit in the street,
okay, that's what I have to do.
you're allowed to do it. Yeah.
All right, I'm not there yet. So I think righteously indignant is a much fancier term for it.
Yeah,
I like it. I am angry though.
Yes.
And I have a right to be angry, and I won't apologize for that. And I do think that angry also gets associated with crazy, in that I'm like just this bitter woman. I'm not bitter. Bitter would mean I think there is no redemption at all. Like there is nothing to be done here. Let's pack it up. I'm going to go live on a farm and not talk to anybody anymore, which does kind of sound lovely. But I'm not there yet. I still have a little revolutionary in me, and I'm still willing to fight certain fights. I'm taking a break from all the fights, but I do align with so much of what you said, and it's because I do have wonderful men in my life, and I love men.
Same.
And I believe in them, and we need them. But what I won't do right now, because similar to you, I am fiercely, violently serious about protecting myself first and foremost above everything and anything else that's going on in life in this world. My safety, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, is my number one priority, and I won't apologize for it right now. When I feel like I'm past that, if I get past that, and I can have the vulnerability to have those non-visceral conversations about things, then maybe I'll get to that point. But I feel like, and now I'm losing my train of thought as well.
You're currently, I'm looking at a traumatized woman.
I am traumatized, and I'm angry, and I don't want that to be confused with bitter. If I was bitter, I wouldn't be talking about it. I would just be like, fuck everybody. I have nothing else to contribute. I'm angry because I think we can be better, and I feel this sort of shift happening in the world, this almost like ancestral energy of like everyone is fed up with this bullshit. We can't all put our finger on exactly what it is we want to do to fix it or how we can fix it, but we all know, even the ones who are in the delusion, even the ones who are marching along, inside know this isn't right. This isn't how humans were supposed to live. This isn't how things are supposed to be. We're
not all supposed to be this medicated.
We're not supposed to be this medicated. We're not supposed to be this stimulated. We're not supposed to know all the horrible things that are happening all over the world, all the time, every fucking day. None of this is supposed to be going on. And we probably are too far to reverse it from a technology standpoint, but we're not too far to reverse it in that we can put our foot down and say enough and pull back from the edge of societal collapse.
The challenge will be bringing men on side because they are so afraid to buck the system, because they're so submissive and subservient to the system. That will be the challenge will be asking men, are you brave enough to stand with us? Are you man enough to step away from a system that does not consider your life worth anything? Because we do. Like the manosphere tells men the only way that you can have power in your life is to disempower all the people around you by force. Whereas women are going, I believe in you. I know you're capable of more. Men are going, there's no way you can ascend on your own. You just have to hold these bitches down underwater. Whereas we are saying, no, I believe in you. I know you're capable of so much more. Look at how much women have grown in the last 40 years. Like we didn't even have our own bank accounts in the late 70s. And now here we are, like a viable threat who are needing to be married off as children and need to have all of our rights and our bodily autonomy stripped away because we're so much of a fucking threat. If we can become a threat like that in 50 years or less, imagine what you could do if you just went to fucking therapy. Imagine what you could do. Like, imagine what you're capable of. I see more potential in you. The manosphere is telling men that this is it. You're at the ceiling. This is all you'll ever be capable of. You're never going to be able to be emotionally intelligent. So just like strip away a woman's access to being able to grow her own intuition and her own, like the biggest war is on our nervous systems, right? World War III isn't coming. World War III's been here. It's a war. The battleground is not just going to be a traditional field with men running at each other. The war is on our individual nervous systems. And the biggest fear is female intuition because it's incredibly powerful. It's how we can see the truth. It's how we can lead the way. It's not witchy. It's just human instinct. It's not witchy when animals sense the tsunami coming before the humans did and made their way to the top of the mountain. That's intuition. And women in particular have very, very strong intuition. So there is a war on our female intuition by making us distracted with never aging, fighting gravity, never gaining weight, never growing older, never having full realization of who we are, never being aggressive, never being honest, like stunting making all of ourselves smaller in every way. That is all to make us distracted from our fantastic intuition. Perchance we offer that intuition to men, and then they might also set themselves free. So are men brave enough to be free is the question. I hope so. I think so. And my door is open to some of them.
To some of them
Yes.
is important. Yes.
Yes.
How are you, or are you, is this even a priority for you right now? Like finding joy or finding peace?
I'm having a nervous breakdown. Joy, what are you talking about?
Yes. That's what I said. Are you or are you not?
I'm not. Muffins, chocolate muffins, early in the morning, dogs, and my wonderful boyfriend and my wonderful friends. And that's where I find peace. It's where I've always found peace. But I can't really access it right now because I've been so terrorized and traumatized by men that I feel like I'm just floating in space. I'm not suicidal, but anymore. But because now I understand what's going on. But I think so many people who are suicidal are actually just dealing with dissociation. And I think dissociation is the goal for everyone. I think that the people who own the tech platforms want us all to feel dissociated all of the time so that there won't be a life or a planet to fight for because we already feel so detached from it. And that's my biggest fear. And that's what the point of my essay was to urge everyone to come back to this earth. Do not let them disassociate you, because then there's nothing to fight for. If you don't feel like this life is yours, you don't feel like this planet is yours. This is ours. Life is not supposed to be this test and this grueling punishment for a blissful afterlife that may never come. This life is supposed to be full of pleasure and cake and orgasms and animals and joy and sunshine. We're all walking around with vitamin D deficiencies because we're inside in offices hustling ourselves to death for a system that doesn't give a fucking shit about us. It's really, really pivotal that we start to re-examine that it's not normal for us to all feel this detached and dissociated. Like even Botox is a way to make it normalized for women to no longer emote. You know, it's a new form of prison. That's why I don't ever want to participate in it, because I'm like, I want to be able to move my face. I want to show when I'm fucking pissed off and confused and angry. I want to show when I'm happy and when I'm laughing, and I don't want it to pull on my skin. I just want to be fucking free. I want to be free of these shackles of dissociation. And when you have a lot of things that freeze your face, it halts signals to your brain for empathy, for emotion. So we are severing women's capacity for our empathy, not just for others, but also for ourselves. Like, what the fuck is going on? What is happening? This is all, I know I sound conspiratorial again, but like, this is organized. Like the amount of overwhelm of the information that we're fed all of the time, like the amount that we are targeted in every single way to feel stressed and afraid all of the time. The news when I was growing up used to be a bit of bad news, a bit of good news. Now it's just bad news, and it's heightened worse news. Like it's and about everywhere, all in the world, where I'm totally powerless to even intervene or do anything about it.
Yeah.
You know, it's just we're rotting from the inside. This is not what life was supposed to be. I'm so glad that I was alive in the 90s, so I knew what was possible for us. We weren't attached to these fucking devices, these addictive little devices. We were free. We weren't surveilled all of the time. We didn't surveil each other. We didn't police each other the way that we do. We didn't identify each other by our politics. This is just it's a bullshit way to live. This is not normal. There is nothing wrong with you. None of you are crazy. You are being preyed upon, and you need to set yourselves free. And that's what I'm now in the process of doing. But I'm so sad that I had to like completely break to get here. but I will be making a concerted effort to fall back in love with my life and fall back in love with the world and fall back in love with people. I'm horrified by what I've been led into and what others around me are, and that's why I'm trying to, raise the alarm.
Yeah. I'm sorry that you are going through this. It's, I don't feel like I've totally gone to the space that you are in or were in. But I related so much to the feeling, and I feel the creeping like monster of disassociating like just here all the time, because I know I feel like it would just be so easy to just like
Tap out,
fade in and just like be like, fuck all this. I've been through enough and I don't want to do it anymore. But
it's what leads to the complacency that allowed us all to hear about the Epstein files and do nothing.
yes.
It's all by design.
Yes. Yes, and it's because you also feel like there is nothing you can do. But there are things that you can do. And similar to you, I was born in 87. I know the world without the internet. I know what it's like to be a part of a society where you are not constantly being fed all of these things, and you make decisions and you go outside and dig in dirt and you go to your neighbor's house and then you come home. Like the experiences that now are just beyond people's comprehension to even do. The more that you learn, the more terrified parents are not even listening to doctors anymore because they have all this information. Like it just never ends. There's always like a new layer of things that you're supposed to do or not do. And yeah, I agree. This is not how we were supposed to live.
It's very hopeful. I feel very optimistic, which is unbelievable. But I do. I feel optimistic that we can change things. I think things are going to get much worse before they get better. But if we don't make an effort to come back into our bodies, we're not going to recognize how violent this all is, and we're not going to do anything about it. I'm not asking people to take to the streets and burn shit down. You don't have to. It's actually inaction that works. It's tapping out of the economy. It's tapping out of the system. It's no longer funding and feeding the system. It's things that are as simple as that. Protests don't really work in the same way that actually financial protests and financial strikes and blocking and divesting and sanctioning, like those are the things that work. You can starve these billionaires. They're just a bunch of like weak men. There's like 100 of them. There's billions of us, but we fund them and feed them every day. It's not this daunting task. Everyone's been made to feel like, oh, revolution looks like taking to the streets and holding a big heavy banner and risking your life and being shot at with rubber bullets and gas. They don't give a shit about civil unrest. They don't give a shit that you're not happy with them. Showing them on your sign isn't going to really do as much for you as actually just strangle them. Like, not physically. Starve them. Starve the people that you don't endorse. Whether that's an influencer who's putting out toxic, messaging to young girls, whoever you don't like, just divest. It's so sad that that's actually the strongest way to change the world, but it is, because
but I mean the world has changed. Like there
how you
was a
vote.
time
You vote with
when
your
civil
dollar.
unrest was the worst thing that could possibly happen to a leader, because they were going to bust down those castle walls and they were going to behead someone. We're not going to do that now.
No, I just don't believe in, like, I've just stopped giving my money or energy anywhere that I don't see feeds me or feeds the world.
And you shouldn't.
No one should. We just have to start talking to each other again. We have to start being around each other again. We have to start remembering who we are. I remember I was, and especially like the Western way of men is so sad. There's this, Caitlin Moran talks about the fact that women are always preparing for their third chapter. We're always cultivating really strong friendships with each other, planning on our commune, planning where we're going to be when our husbands finally die because they never went and got that lump checked that we begged them to. We're always like fostering our strongest sisterhoods, and men just sort of atrophy. And they start to let their friendships fall away and they get immersed in family life. And then they just decide, well, I'll just become friends with the husband, whoever my wife has become friends with. And their strong, lifelong bonds fall by the wayside and they just sort of slowly but surely give up. And that is not the case in all cultures. My boyfriend and I were walking through like a very kind of Middle East populated area of London, like I think Knightsbridge, right, where it's all like you walk around and it's very, very Arab, and there's lots of patisseries because they don't drink, so they eat cake late, which is fucking adorable. And you've just got loads of men sitting together facing each other, because men in the West prefer to do things where they don't have to look each other in the eye. They do things, tasks, fishing, sports. They like to do things next to each other, but not looking directly at each other, not with intimacy. That is not classic of all men, because in the Middle East, the men are like hugging, fucking giving each other like a kiss, like making fun of each other, like looking each other dead in the eye, eating cake together, which is considered very feminine in the West.
Right.
And you've got this real sense of brotherhood going on there. Same in Italy, like the men are fucking all over each other. They don't have a male loneliness epidemic in Italy, like that I've heard of anyway. You know, I'm not saying that Italy's got no problems and they've still got fucking terrible,
Yeah,
you know, like they've still got awful rape
issues.
academies there as well.
Right.
You know, like let's not even get into
let's
that.
not get
But
into that. Oh my
Jesus
God.
Christ, we'll both explode, we'll combust, we'll go by swords immediately. But
no,
but I'm just saying that, like, this doesn't have to be the way.
It doesn't.
The manosphere is telling men this is the way, and this is how you were born, and this is what's natural. Nothing that's natural has to be upheld by violence.
Yeah. And there's more to your life. There's more to your life than impressing people that don't know you on the
why
internet.
can't men have holidays? Like, why can't men be encouraged to like spend time with their family and their kids? They're just supposed to have a wife who has no job so that she's got no freedom to leave you if you piss her off. But then that means you have to work for an entire income for an entire family. So you work until you drop dead at 50 from a fucking heart attack. You have no memories on your deathbed of great times with your friends or with your loved ones, or the amount of sex you probably should have had in your life. And it's just been lots of wanking alone on a computer, watching a teenager get like choked out. And you're like, what is this life? This is not the life that they used to write songs about. This isn't what Al Green wanted for us. You know? This isn't what he wanted. This isn't what Stevie told us life was supposed to be like. Those were the real men.
Yeah.
They had a better
plan.
They had a better plan, you know, for humanity. Like, it's so sad, the expectation is just like work and you wank and you work and you wank and then you die. And then that's it. And you drove a nice sports car between the working and the wanking. Like, there's got to be more to life for men than that.
They have
Come
to want
to
it,
our
though.
side. It's so fun here. It smells good.
Yeah, it always smells good. We always have nice candles. Everything is pink.
It's comfortable.
You know, it's a cozy
comfortable.
couch.
It's wonderful. Like, we have real conversations.
Yeah. We laugh when we judge each other.
Yeah. And we'll be nice to you. Like, God, the way that women love men who are good men, it's too much. It's actually too much. It's near worship. Like, a man who can make a woman, like, the fact that they've managed to convince men that you shouldn't learn how to make a woman come. You learn how to make a woman come. Like, all that the manosphere should be teaching is how to make a woman come. Your name will become legend. It will travel far and wide.
Yeah, it will.
Like, we
will recommend you to other people. If we're no longer with you, we'll be like, oh yeah, girl, like, you'll have a time.
Brag about
like, you will
men
love
being
that.
amazing in bed. Like, they've
yeah.
been led astray from everything good, all of the good advice, just into like nothing but being like approved
there is
of
a
by
baddie
other
network.
men.
And we do share information.
It's the whole thing just feels very much so like you're just living to impress other men.
Well, they are.
Yeah.
They are. And
how sad to do that if you're not actually
triggers
gay.
a reaction from them as well that is very negative, but it's just the truth of it, because you're not trying to impress women.
No.
Because we've told you what impresses us. So
they don't,
often men
don't
ask,
enter our spaces. They don't listen to these conversations.
They're not listening.
They should only be listening. They should it's like, where is your spy instinct? This is
when I want advice about men, I don't ask other women.
No.
I ask the men that I trust.
Yeah.
I don't ask other women.
Why would you do your research like away from the subject?
It makes no sense to me.
Like, why do they not look at all the men that we're all lusting after? Like, that's who you should be like. You're only going to get teenage girls who don't know fucking anything.
Well, then that circles back to the, pedophilia.
But that's lonely. And what's so interesting is the final thing I'll say. I know we've been speaking for like 6 years now, 5 to 7 business days. But the last thing I'll say is that, something I've been thinking about, so this is hugely undercooked and I don't know exactly how to say it, but maybe you can help me. I have found in my experience as a middle-aged woman in this world that when men have very submissive wives who don't have a job, who don't have anything to talk about themselves, who've done nothing other than stay at home, and I don't want to be rude about stay-at-home mums, and I think that they can be amazing and interesting and fascinating people. But what I have seen as a pattern throughout my life, anecdotally, both from people I know and people I've heard about, is that the men who have wives who have stripped themselves of all of their identity and just become nothing other than service to the man, that man will eventually grow bored of that woman because she has no life and zest and power of her own to stimulate him. And he will go and fuck someone that he meets where? At work. He's going to fuck a woman with a job who's got something to talk about. That's the woman he's going to leave you for. That's the woman he's going to cheat on you with, is the woman who's got her own drive, her own money, her own shit going on. So as much as they say they want the free slave at home, you know, who's just got this like idyllic, like has no opinion and has no thoughts of her own, and she just thinks what you want her to think.
Well, and she probably did have
like the
all
bride
those
from
things.
Coming to America, you know, like,
Yes.
I like what you like. It's like they think that they want that, right? Yeah. Bark like a dog. Yeah.
Woof,
Yeah.
woof, woof.
But like they think they want that, but then they go and cheat with the like
They don't want that
empowered
though.
woman at work.
And the woman
So
generally
riddle me that.
isn't the woof woof girl. She is interesting, and they tell her that they don't want her to be interesting because they want a wife, and so she gives up all of those things, and then becomes that idyllic woman that has nothing else going on, that's picking out different curtains every other week.
It's just like it's like an understimulated person is not stimulating.
Yeah.
And so it's very important not to allow
It's why
yourself to
it's
become
very,
understimulated.
I talked about girl bossing recently.
Girl
and-
bossing too close to the sun.
Yes. And we're both of the girl boss era. And I have lots of various thoughts on all of it, but there is nothing wrong. And feminism is about choice. There's nothing wrong or anything to judge about being a homemaker and being a mother and a wife and raising a family. If that is what your goal is and you achieve that, I think that is as successful as being the CEO of a Fortune 500 company as a woman. Like whatever it is that your goal in in life, achieving that is success.
Yeah, a capitalist wet dream isn't like the goal.
Right. Unless that's your goal. Whatever it is for you as an individual person. But the passion that you feel for something is what should motivate and drive you. And when we talk about marriage and kids and family and these structures that have been created to deteriorate us from wanting that, everything that you've talked about today, which I love your conspiracy theory as well. I think it's completely spot on with ripping these apart and then blaming women for it, and ripping these apart and blaming feminism for it, and making everyone disassociate in their will and drive and fight for things and just what even matters anymore. That's part of why they dumped the Epstein files the way that they did, because these are horrific. I thought I knew how dark the world could be, and yet it's more dark than I could have imagined, and yet nothing has happened from it. Nothing has changed
Because men are so submissive.
And while I feel so enraged all the time, we're constantly being put into this cycle. And yeah, I mean, it's submission, and there's just more to life, like we said.
I think a change is going to come, and I think men are growing sick of this system, and I think that it's just going to have to completely break, and then I think women are going to be the only ones who know how to rebuild
fix it,
because we're the only ones who know how to really gather and organize. And so I think the answer is to sit back and let it break. I think that is really important. It's just to sit back and let them destroy it. Like, let them just break it and start building our own getaway together. And the men who are good can join us, and they can be allowed a visa into our world that can be revoked at any time.
moment.
But if they want to all be together and just talk to each other and sit there wanking each other off, they can. They can have this big, male-centered, what's it called, homosocial community. They can do that, and we will just go off, build our own shit, build our own companies, build our own happiness, build our own communities, and welcome in the men who want to come in. Before long, other men will be trying to break the fucking doors down, begging to get into the society that we build. So I think maybe it's not about trying to patch up Humpty Dumpty, like the fucking fucked system that exists, or trying to compete within it, because that's also appalling. I think it's about building our own separate system outside of this, and then making it so appealing that everyone else will want to come in. And I already know many men who are like, please get me the fuck out of here. So I think that is the kind of thing I'm imagining. That to me feels radical and joyful, is building a separate system.
Yeah. This was every bit the patriarchal conversation I was hoping for and dreamed of. It checked every box. So
Good.
I know that this was a lot for you to do, and I'm sure it took a lot of energy and you stepping out of your current safe space to do. So I appreciate you coming down, because I do know it does take a lot to summon that up when you're healing. So I appreciate you.
No, I appreciate you for having me.
I'm so happy you're here. Trust me, I've been like literally dreaming of this. Jameela Jamil, follow her on social. I do this with everyone. JameelaJamil. I'm also dyslexic, so that's why that was difficult. Also, follow her on Wrong Turns Pod, and please, please, please go read her Substack, A Low Desire to Please with Jameela Jamil, where she talks very in depth and very articulate about her nervous breakdown and what
I
unfortunately happened to
explore
her.
systems
Yes.
in the essays.
Yes, but if you are someone who is dealing with trauma, it was like I am. It was very enlightening for me and made me feel less alone. So thank you for that.
Pleasure.
Yes. Well, it's so good to have you.
Thank you for
Thank you for
having
joining
me.
us.